My name is Jenny Alberti, and this is Tracy Brown, and we are the co-founders of the Women Writing Intentionally Collective. And we're back. We've been doing some author interviews with our amazing women inside of the Wounded Women series. And today we have one of our incredible authors who is part of two of our titles, both Betrayed and Broken. And Amanda, tell us a little bit about who you are, who you help, and we'll kind of go from there. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm Amanda. On my socials, my handle's Amanda B. Norr. And I help other women or people that I've been in like kind of like the same situation as I've been, where you've lost your voice and lost who you are, and relearning to tap into your intuition and trust yourself. Learning to trust myself has been a process, and kind of interesting to realize how long I didn't, even though I thought I did. Like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I am a certified Moonologer, so I work with the moon, and that's all. You can't make that stuff up, and how that stuff works out, and and then I guess in my public everyday life, when the pager goes off, I'm a firefighter and an EMT.
I love that, Amanda. The whole thing about the intuition, and even when you thought that you were listening to your intuition at some point, or you thought that you were doing things the way that you truly felt aligned with doing, oftentimes it has a lot to do with the way that society wants you to do it, right?
Yes,
So you're like, yeah, I'm living my life, I'm right, but it's still very heavily influenced.
A lot of unconscious conditioning. Yes.
I love that you said, even though I thought that I was, right? Yeah.
So we have just been through a very exciting journey with writing Lunar Wisdom, and you're one of the contributing authors for that. And the paperback is coming out next week. But what was it that actually made you feel called to contribute to this series, to Wounded Women, and both the Betrayed and the Broken titles?
Okay, so this is funny, right? Because like as we were finishing up Lunar Wisdom, you guys kind of started talking about this series, and I was just like, I want to write on the concepts, like just for myself to work through them. And I wasn't going to do the book thing, and then I'm like, well, I kind of want another book project. And I still wasn't feeling, and I don't know. And so this sounds so funny, but when I ended up reaching out to you, Tracy, it was the new moon. Go figure.
Love it.
I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, there we go. And I think part of it was on Betrayed. That one was like, that's a hard one. That's a hard title and a hard concept for me because of my life. Like I've been so sheltered in the little Mountain West. And I got married very young, and I was a stay-at-home mom for 18 years. So it's like a lot of like the interactions and that for the betrayal. It's like, okay, like what? So when I was bullied in elementary school, or you know what I mean? Or like, oh, that like one girl when I was 16, like I was like, this doesn't, you know what I mean? And I've done I've worked and done little odd jobs and different things as my kids were little. And so, there's some interplay there, as I taught dance and different things, but I was just like, but where have I been betrayed, or how have I betrayed, And like in elementary school, it's kind of like, well, when the new girl came in and everybody decided to make fun of her, at least the attention was off me. So, but then as an adult, you're like, but I was surviving. So I was like, I don't know how to work this betrayed thing in. And then, but then just even going through finishing up Lunar Wisdom and thinking, it's just kind of like, well, but the systems, the society that we live in. And so I was betrayed. And then like yesterday, I was just kind of doing the, thing. And I was just like, and I betrayed my daughter because I taught her what I was taught.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that I think it's not until I think we become women of a certain age, so to speak, that we start. And when we have children of our own as well, that we start to see some of those patterns repeating in our children's lives, or the things that we've been taught that maybe we have been working on, but the words coming out of our mouths to our kids were just like, I can't believe I just said that.
Well, and I would always laugh because they're grown now. Like they're adults, but I would laugh when what came out of their mouths sounded like me and my mother came out of my mouth. I thought it was hilarious because I was just like, oh, here we go. But my daughter, like, as she's going through her college program and she's getting ready to go to graduate school, and we talk about a lot of things. And I'm like, remember how when I taught you or said these things? I'm like, ignore it. But also, and I was telling her that without really telling her story, but part of her story being my story, when she had something happen to her, and to be the mom. First of all, somehow I wasn't safe enough for her to talk to during what was going on. But then I didn't have like that language. It's like, I believe you. I'm here for you. And then my brain wanted to start doing all that quantifying things of, but why did you? But if you this, and if you, and I was like, and I kept stopping that from coming out. And I finally just says, I don't even know what to say, because in our society, we don't even have a language to love somebody who's been hurt. Mm-hmm. We still got to somehow make that person responsible for what happened to them when they weren't responsible at all.
Yeah. And I think, Amanda, what you're talking about too, and the dynamics of these books and these chapters that we're all going to be writing when for you've signed up for Betrayed and for Broken, and they really kind of, one goes right into the next, right? The betrayal, and then how are we breaking what we have experienced, for future generations, for your daughter, because even though she's grown and she's an adult, right? She's going to have children, and right. So it can continue, but we're breaking these ancestral chains and the chains and these cycles. So they really do bleed into each other, right? Yeah. So I'm really excited to see from our authors that are in multiple books how the stories continue and how they kind of relate. And I think that it's going to be extremely powerful by having you and the others that are in multiple books be able to demonstrate and tell these stories of how you were betrayed by society, how it has been passed on to your daughter and to your children, and how you're going about breaking those cycles. So I'm excited to see what comes from this in general, but in particular for you and the others that are in the multiple books, because it's this ongoing story, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like I'm open to the third, but I'm like, just because it's a series doesn't mean I have to be in all of them. And right now I'm just like, because at first I was like, just one, and then I was like, no, I have to do two, and then I had to figure out which two, and Tracy's like, well, Betrayed, and I'm thinking, yeah, but that one's the hard one.
So funny.
So, and when I've been sharing with like my friends and my new projects, and they're like, well, that's going to be really interesting. You're going to have to really dig for that. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
But I mean, part of that, as you know, like when we do the work, sometimes when we're resisting the most is because that's where we have the most work to do.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, touching on what Jenny was saying about seeing how the stories evolve, but it's also about your journey of how you are unraveling those pieces and what growth you're getting to experience through the process of actually getting to release these stories from being held inside as well. Yeah. So it's not just about the reader even getting to read and follow your story. It's also about you getting to release those pieces. So but just circling back to the reader, what is it that you hope that your chapters, when you write them in both of the books, how do you hope that they're going to help people?
I had somebody give me a review on Lunar Wisdom that's told me that I made them cry in all the right places. And I kind of feel like, I mean, maybe that's like, you know, hashtag writing goals. I don't know.
Yes.
I love that.
But you know, I would like people to read my story or what I write and either feel like they're not alone, feel like they can do the work to overcome something, or see where they're better than they think they are.
So beautiful. I love that. What you were saying resonates with something Terry said yesterday about being more than you think you are. And I feel like this is a common thread that's going to come through in a lot of our stories, is going to be that realization for each of us at some point that we were more than we thought we were, that we were worth more than we thought we were, and that we'll be able to shine this light for the readers to realize that no matter their circumstances, that they are more than they think they are too. So I love that.
Yeah. So I have to tell you though, I'm kind of excited because after doing some intense therapy, and it was a couple years ago, and I had actually written a poem, and it really felt as I was writing that my ancestors were singing that to me. And I feel very much that that's going to be a part of Broken.
I love that. I think it's so powerful when we get those messages that come through, and I really hope that you include that poem as part of your chapter in Broken as well somehow. I look forward
I'm hoping. It needs a few tweaks, but I remember when I took it and I read it to my therapist, and I had her in tears. And just doing a lot of work.
Have people crying in all the right places. Sounds like you're already hitting those goals. So what is it that you hope then for you that you'll get personally out of contributing to these books?
Oh, well, part of it's just a continuation on what I've built in Lunar Wisdom. Just a community of women, right? That we support each other. We're there for each other. Similar in so many ways, even though we're so different. Right. I feel like, I don't know, you knew in Lunar Wisdom how hard being seen was for me, how hard sharing my story was. And I feel like it's easier, but yet it's still hard because I still feel like sometimes I've got an invisible gag order, you know, not to ruffle the wrong feathers or say the wrong things. And so feeling like I can share just a little bit more in that supportive space.
Yeah. It's a common theme that everybody that we've spoken to on the interviews so far has mentioned, is that coming together with other women and having that safe space to be able to share their stories in the container, and this kind of camaraderie and this safety and this powerful the sisterhood and this powerful, circle that we are a part of, and each of us being so different, and each of us coming from different backgrounds, different countries and places all around the world, and different societal expectations based off of where we are. And our chapters are all going to be different, but at the same time, we are still the same. And we're able to come together and support each other through that. And I think that each one of us, and I think I speak for Tracy as well in this, is that is exactly what we hope and intend, not only for this particular series, but every book that we do, is to have that safe space so that each of us can tell our stories and feel as though that we're not alone.
Yeah. I imagine like the woman that I was to get to this point will be who's reading these books.
Mm-hmm.
And you find one of these books, and then you realize you want to read all three of them, because it's that same journey of realizing that you're more than you think you are, and listening to yourself is the right thing to do.
Yeah. And I think that it's one of those things in this. Jenny and I knew going into putting the Wounded Women series together that there was going to be a lot that was going to come up for everybody. We knew that when we came up with the titles of the books. What we didn't know was that we were going to both end up diving into our own journeys very quickly afterwards, and we would start living the journey of the Wounded Women. But what we were very conscious of, having both been in other book containers and having led other book projects like Quiet and Badass and Lunar Wisdom, was that providing that safe space and that sense of community for each contributor to feel safe to be vulnerable at all stages, not just in the writing of their chapter, but also with fears of being seen and the visibility aspects, and all of that was so important for us to be creating a space where everybody felt safe and seen by us, like by everybody that was in the container, and loved and valued and supported, while also having the opportunity to love and support and see everybody else in the container as well was really important, because we had both been in containers where, like there had been a great sense of camaraderie, but we'd also been in containers where there wasn't, and where there was no support or no real bonding between the authors. And we have also seen other people, like one of another girl who considered coming into Lunar Wisdom, who was also part of the certified Moonologer community, had been in a book project that had zero support at all. It was basically, you sign up, you write your chapter, you submit it, and that's it. There was nothing else. There were no group calls or anything. And she felt let down by that experience, because it wasn't what she was then seeing all of us doing as we were going through the Lunar Wisdom journey. And we really wanted to be able to provide, especially here in this Wounded Women container, so many options for support through this journey, because we knew that it was going to ask you guys to be so radically vulnerable. And
yeah, we're not sharing stories and writing about puppies and rainbows, right? Like these are some serious things that we're talking about. And it's important that we do have that community. It's important that we are able to bring people together. And for you to say, that that's one of the things that you're hoping to get out, of the book project, is it's really important to us that, we fulfill that for you and for everybody, because that's what we yearn for as well, is to be part of a safe sisterhood. Yeah.
So with that in mind, and talking about the things that we are wanting to get out of this and whatever, and having been through the writing process before, what is it, Amanda, that you are most excited to experience as part of the journey this time around, especially because you are doing 2 books back to back? What part of the journey is most exciting for you?
I think it's the writing thing. And it's going to be interesting because working with the moon, the last time I would be like, okay, I'm going to write, and I would have it write and nothing. And then when I would sit down to write, and I'm like going like, I just want to scream and throw notebooks and computers. And then it's like, and then you go outside and you look at the moon and you see the waves, and then you start doing, and you're like, are you kidding? Like,
Yeah. Hello,
really?
quarter moon.
And then the other times where all of a sudden you just go, and you just pick up and you just start flawlessly writing something, and you're really impressed, and you go outside and you look at the moon and you're like, It's like, okay. So yeah, it's just going to be interesting. I think it'll be a slightly different writing process, but at the same time, I don't. And I'm just excited to see what comes out.
I think we all are. I think we, like, so many of us are coming into this with expectations about what we think we're going to be writing about and what stories we're going to be sharing, but we don't actually know what story is going to make it onto the page and into the book until it's all done, right? Yeah. So I'm excited to see what comes up for you as well, and how your story evolves and I guess progresses between Betrayed and then into Broken, and how, I guess, how that journey looks for you, but then also for your daughter and for your family as well, and what the ripple effect of that is for you, as well as then, you know, once we publish the books, putting it out into the world for other people. Like you were saying, people in Lunar Wisdom who'd read the book, came back to you and said, oh my goodness, you know, this is exactly what I needed to hear or whatnot. And then having some of that feedback come back again with these next stories, I think is going to be
and I think, and this was really funny too, because like in New Lunar Wisdom, and it's going to be the same with this, you know, I knew what my process was, right? And I had this whole thing, and then the book came out, and I'm reading everything else, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like the best book ever, you know, because I didn't know what anyone else was writing. Like, you know, like everybody kind of would share, I'm struggling with this, or you'd get a snippet of that. But I mean, it's like Christmas morning, because you don't even, like, it's your book, but you don't even know what's in it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
That was actually one of the best things I think about doing that, was seeing it all come together and everybody's magic coming together. And it was an incredible experience with Lunar Wisdom. And I am really excited, I think, with these books too, to find where the common thread is, because they're always in every book that I've ever participated in. No matter how different everybody's stories are, there is a common thread. One of the books I was in, when you read everybody's stories, the common thread was hope. It wasn't something that was written. Nobody said that this common thread was hope. But as I read each of the stories, that was what I was seeing. That was the thread that I could see in it. And I am really looking forward to seeing, you know, what the common thread is that weaves its way through each of our stories, and bringing the magic of bringing it all together so that it becomes more than just the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
And I think too that each contributor, each one of us women that are brought together to participate in certain books, are brought to that project for a reason, right? So it's not random. It's very much on purpose, and it's planned somehow, some way, by something that this group of women is going to come together and going to contribute their own, you know, stories and wisdom to this book. And there's going to be a common thread among everybody. And none of us know what that is until like what you're mentioning, Amanda, like you open it up like Christmas morning, you're like, oh my God, amazing. So I think for me, that is actually one of the most exciting things for me. What's going to happen with each one of these books is, you know, like all of these random people, some of you guys know each other, you know, you and Stephanie know each other, and you know,
Ruth.
And Ruth, and you know, and from Quiet and Badass, Terry and Christine know each other. And it's like now they're, you know, meshing together with, you know, brand new authors that are coming in. And it's like, okay, this group of women, what are they going to create? And for me, it's super exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I'd like to see, people just as that comes together, just all of the different, like, again, it's just we're so different, and yet that it comes down that not quite as much as we thought.
Right.
Yeah. So Amanda, thank you so much for giving us so much of your time this morning and sharing so many beautiful words. If anyone resonates with you or wants to find out more about what you do and how you help people, where can they find you and get in touch with you online?
So the easiest way to do that is my link tree, which is linktr.ee/Amanda B. Norr. And then I'm on Instagram as Amanda B. Norr, on LinkedIn as Amanda B. Norr. A Facebook like business page it's Live Life on Purpose, Be Intentional. I keep trying to change the name. It won't let me change the name, but if you type in Amanda B. Norr, that's what will come up.
I had that same problem with Facebook too, trying to change the name on one of my pages. It took me like 10 tries, but eventually you'll get there.
I've probably tried about 7 or 8 already, and then I go, and then, you know, me and passwords don't get along very well, so I have to read everything and try again.
I get that.
Yeah. So so I'm easy to find. And then, you know, I have my friend page, and it is set more to friends, and depending on who I let in on there, and that's just for like my grandkids' safety and things like that. But a lot of people are also on that page. It was public for a while, and some posts are still public, and that's Amanda Norr. So I just, throw in the B.
Yeah. Okay. So if you want to find Amanda, look for Amanda B. Norr on pretty much any of your social platforms. You'll find Amanda somehow, and you can reach out if you're resonating with her story, or you just like to connect.
And I have a newsletter that goes out every month, working with the new and the full moon, and then, you know, just adding things in. It's in its beginning stages. I'm sure it'll have many evolutions over time.
Awesome.
But definitely, yes. I don't foresee me not working with the moon at this point. There's just
once it's part of the fabric of who you are, it's very hard to separate out. So I wouldn't have it any other way. So I'm glad you wouldn't either.
Perfect. That's exactly. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, sweetheart.
Thank you,
we
Amanda.
love catching up with you and chatting with you, and we're so thrilled to have you here on board as part of the team for both Betrayed and Broken. And I guess we'll see what happens with Burned as we go through and walk this path.
Well, that's what I was telling Ruth. I says, honestly, I feel like my Burned story is lunar wisdom anyway, but who knows?
It might be a continuation from your story from Lunar Wisdom, you know, like new facets, new layers. I guess we'll see how it evolves.
I had to really, like, I knew when I reached out to you, because like I said, I'd been like, no, maybe that's not quite the one for me. And then I was like, okay. And then it was just like, and then 2. And I was like, well, there's 2 books. And then, and I always felt from the get-go Broken was one. And then it was deciding between the other 2. And I really had to dig to figure that one out.
Okay. I love it. Absolutely adore it. Well, we will let you go. Thank you so much for all of your time. And so excited for our Lunar Wisdom launch next week. So
Yes.
everybody stay tuned. If you want to find out more about that, definitely get in touch with Amanda. I believe she has some signed author copies available if you pre-register. So get in touch. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye,